and then just go straight into sprint 13. Um, Going one by one, let me zoom in a bit. Gideon, this is first. Well, he's obviously not here. He's not in this call today. Uh, then there's me. So luckily we closed round two. Big milestone. So I feel pretty happy about that. So I marked pretty much everything as completed. Emails. I quite honestly, I didn't send the emails. But I have the copy and everything, so it's just a matter of me sending them later today. So I'm just marking it as done, and then I think I moved some stuff already, and then the Gitcoin proposal, which started this past sprint, I already marked for this sprint. Um, it's pretty much done, at least from my side. I now need to work it more with, Octopus and Sean, and maybe even Jeff if he ends up joining. For the most part, what's left is um, to figure out, like, particularly Octopus involvement. I don't know how much time he wants to put in or in which way, and then of course budget. Um, so that's mine. Then there's yours, Bear.
Yeah, I can go on. Sorry, Isaac, could you just like explain a bit more? What are you referring to? What you're talking about with octopus and death? Exactly. What is that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, so as part of the QF project, um, I guess a bit of context. When Sean started contributing again, and at the same time we were doing the QF rounds and experimenting with tunable QF, we thought it may be a good idea to sort of seek to join forces with other projects in the QF space, namely Gitcoin, of course, and probably others. I want to talk to others, but right now, Gitcoin, we have the strongest relationship with Gitcoin, so it makes the most sense to start with them. Um, and so we thought that on one hand, they may be interested in just being on the loop of with this experiment, but also maybe even contributing. And we are looking at contributing particularly in a financial way. Um, Although of course anything that, hey Chris, how you doing?
GM. Oh, sorry. I thought I muted.
I don't know, it's fine. Um, and yeah, what I was saying. Gitcoin QF, yeah. So we they seem to be pretty interested, and we have also expressed that we would appreciate any type of financial support, and so they suggested that we first get into the Gitcoin Citizens round, uh, which YGG already is. And by the way, please, you know, go. I'll send the link in a second. Just donate to YGG and any other folks you may find interesting. But that's like a small grants type of thing for Gitcoin, and so they suggested we also put together like a formal proposal. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much what we are doing. The proposal is pretty much to do three things. First one is research. Like the mechanism for tunable QF is pretty easy. It's just multiplying donations. But we need to understand what does it mean to be, like, what does it mean and how can um, other operators use it in you know in the right way. Right now we are just going by eye, and that's not good. The second thing is education. Like we if they want to, we can offer sort of some open sessions about going down the rabbit hole of QF and tunable QF. And the third one is the MVP, like a simple tool other operators can also use. Does that answer your question? I said a bunch of things. So it's,
Yeah,
anything
thank you.
clear?
Yeah, I think so. So what I understand is basically a proposal to try to fund the Tunable QF project to get some extra funds for that. Besides the TEC proposal that got already passed, and besides the Gitcoin citizenship one, and Jeff and Octopus will be helping out with it as well. That's what I understand.
Yeah, Octopus is already in the loop. Jeff expressed interest, but he hasn't been able to join yet any of the sessions. So we will see. At the very least, we get enough funding just to cover Octopus time, for example. And the in the best case scenario, we're able to even offset some of the costs of the team, say maybe mine or YGG's or something.
Okay. No, sounds great. So what I understand is that these are different deliverables than YGG's proposal for this month. Is it like expanding on that kind of thing?
I don't have YGG's deliverables at the top of my head, but I believe it's pretty much the same. I don't know if you want to comment on that, Sean.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same. It's the same. You could look at my proposal, and that's basically the scope of the Tunable QF project, which has been mostly me and Isaac and Gideon. And then that's the point of entry that Octopus and Jeff are potentially coming in on, but they've like Jeff hasn't been able to join any sessions, and Octopus I think has joined one or two, but pretty low touch so far. So yeah, just slowly seeing how we can integrate more resources into the scope of that project.
Okay, no, that sounds great. So it's probably
Can I
like
just-
a matter of. Oh, sorry, Griff. Do you want to say something?
I just want to add that it might be interesting to talk to. I mean, this is so easy for us to do in Giveth. It would be so easy for us to do this. And we have a Polygon QF round, and we have we're talking to Mantle about adding Mantle, and I even mentioned Tunable QF, and they were really excited about it. So it might be interesting to just talk to Lauren about like the like application, because and Lauren, so it's easy.
Yeah, I think that's such a good exercise too of going outside of our internal circle and seeing like the initial feedback that we'll get and then the process of deploying it for another community. I think it's a really good exercise to like continue working through bugs and like polishing features and stuff. So yeah, I'll message Lauren.
And I'll tell you right now, on our back end, we're literally just using a spreadsheet for distributed rewards. So it's super easy to create, 3x on the donation. Like it's not a problem.
Cool.
That's pretty cool. I also want to like I just want to get like I'm trying to go one by one. I'm trying to close Gitcoin first, but I also want to chat with Disruption Joe. He passed a very big proposal on Arbitrum to do grants, and one of the grants is using Gitcoin. And they were interested in like when we talked with Gitcoin, the Gitcoin team said they were wondering if they could just use donations from Arbitrum token holders, and so there may be a possibility they want to, you know, partner in something like this. I think that also would be great. But if are you going to DM Lauren, Sean? I can do it as well.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking about timing, like, because I see TEGR3 as being like the kind of V1, I think the app is going to be stable and fully sort of like that'll be the first instance where we fully use this app. So I don't know if like before or after that would be best to start collaborating with other communities. So yeah, I like I'm just wondering about timing, if we should reach out to Lauren now or a little bit, like if we should get through TEGR3 to have like a fully stable.
I would do it before,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, because
Okay.
like there's a chance that Polygon might want it, you know? Like
Yeah.
who knows? You know,
Yeah.
and that round will be in a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Griff. Yeah.
Yeah, in any case, we can also chat about that this Thursday and see, try to see what's up and just look at the tool and what may be needed. But
Yeah.
at the very least, we can ask Lauren and just see what are they using, and if we have to do some manual work, shouldn't be too hard. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean we're really just using a spreadsheet, and she was at the community call, so some intro to it.
Cool. Well, yeah. Let's see. Let's continue with this sprint. We took a bit of time on this. It was great, but let me see. Okay, this was you better now.
Yeah, I can take it. So well, for this last sprint, I marked down the work on defining priorities, milestones, and kind of like a schedule or a roadmap for the fiduciary stewardship project. That got done. That's already in a Google Doc as part of the project plans, but it's also in Notion as a project itself with its different milestones. So I think that's good. And I also marked as done, kind of like the initial steps for defining the advisory group for the next grants round. Just putting together a doc with some information and just taking those first steps. Then in progress, it's still the review of roles. There are 5 different roles that I'm reviewing. It's one of them is the events planner. The other one is the I think they are there. I still forget sometimes the names. The events lead, the grants program lead, the media production lead, marketing lead, and fundraising lead. So this might take some time because there are also other priorities. So I'm doing like one every week, one role every week, or that's the idea. So this will be kind of like an ongoing type of work that I'm gonna take to the next sprint 13 already. And then is the tech support Notion page, the work with Rex. For what I've heard, I've assumed that Rex is quite busy. I haven't got any response from him from a while already. So what I'm gonna do is just there's already some documentation that he was able to provide on the processes he uses for credentials and for tech support stuff. So I'm just gonna take that and formalize it, give it a nice format, and just make it part of our Notion, just for reference. And then that's gonna get completed in this sprint. And then once Rex is back, then we can expand on that and just add whatever was remaining from the processes he works on. Because I just want to finalize this, at least this first phase. And yeah, so this is also moving to sprint 13, and I've already updated my sprint 13 board, but I guess we can take a look at that later. Yeah, pass it back to you.
Cool. Thanks. Then there's you, Nate.
Yeah, so we've got 3 there. The OPS migrate and update documentation. The super site is kind of ongoing work, transferring over old information and documentation and making sure that we have the history up to date. Still adding adding different things for that Notion page, serving as an external kind of landing page, informational landing page for people to visit. The TEC October community call is in the final stages for that, which will be happening next week. And so that's done. Mapping the amount of hours of the events lead is an in progress thing that will be carried out into this upcoming sprint. I think that is it. I had moved everything over to 13 as well. So, and then everything else is done on the other side. So yeah, I'll pass it back to you.
Cool, thanks. Now I have you here, Tim. Are you here, Tim?
I was just talking with mute on. That's all that happened right there. That first one, that's really, I'm just checking in from time to time. That one is stalled. I know Griff had a lot, is stretched very thin doing other things, and I know he's not able to prioritize that right now. But there's still a group chat. Rex is also on it, and he's away. So I just think that one's stalled for now. I just leave it so that I can, on my board, so I can just remember to keep checking in on it. But I'm not really actively doing anything on that. That's just me being like, hey, Griff, when do you think you can, start looking at this? Griff mentioned already that he thinks next week is the time that he'd be able to look at that and come up with the narrative for the TEC's price over the bear market. Still working on what it would take to migrate TEC to OP. I think refining the timeline is something that I'd like to do. Bear, always 2 steps ahead, is already scheduled or planning, or has shared his plans to have some of the key questions that were outlined in the post start to happen over the next 3 Friday sessions, TCAN strategy sessions, with but we planning to invite. He's planning to also invite the coordination team and some other advisors as well. And then the Scrum process is ongoing. And so I could add those to Sprint 13. Those are just things that continue. There's, I think, 2 more things that I added for this sprint. One is just setting up the TE Grant Round 3 advisory group with NT, really acting in a supporting role for NT, but I've been following up with the advisors that we identified and working with NT on what the planning would look like for that group. And then SEM's proposal, normally it would have just passed, but because of the challenge and then the stuff happening with Celeste, SEM and I are just in contact about it. And there's been some developments, which is mostly looks like it's going to be solved in 2 days. I don't know if everyone's up to date on this. The proposal that SEM had to do a technical feasibility study of the migration to TEC that for 6K was challenged via Celeste, and then the keepers didn't vote, so the status was abstain, and apparently that means that then there was time for anyone to appeal that resolution of no vote. Otherwise, the initial proposal would fail, and somebody appealed that no vote status, and in, I think, 48 hours, one more day, the proposal, if nobody else blocks the appeal, then the vote should go back. The original vote should go back to the amount of time that it had left, which was something like 48 hours. So in about 2 days, we'll know if that vote will just continue or if there's more stuff to do. That, I hope, was not too convoluted. It was a little difficult to untangle what was actually, what the status was and what the outcomes potentials were. But the good news is it seems as if everything is going to go okay with this vote, but in case it doesn't, there's some contingencies that we have to consider. So that's just taking some time. So I threw it up on the board as well. And I'll move all of these into sprint 13.
No worries. I already marked it down. Just sprint.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, that boat thing is around there. Uh, yeah. And now it's you, Sean?
Hey guys. Yep. So what I have there, TEGR2. I guess TEGR2 is complete. The distributions have been made, so it's really now getting ready for TEGR3 and bringing this app to like a complete sort of V1, which is there's some performance I want to tune up. It's a bit slow in some parts, which I think can be improved. And then there's a few like charting results that I want to have built into the app that aren't quite built in yet. So that's exciting. And then there are some more details which I should probably fill out in this card here. Things like reaching out to Lauren, looking into the Arbitrum opportunity. Yeah, so some of these ecosystem opportunities that are on the go. Then I just posted a nice. I just I'd be happy to like schedule and host a tech token utility call. So I put that in there, tech utility and OP migration. Maybe like a bi-weekly 1-hour call that is kind of a open discussion format. That's what I'm thinking, like pretty simple format, but I know Nate has expressed a lot of interest in this and pretty much everyone else in this call as well. So yeah, I'd be willing to schedule and host that as a recurring block, probably bi-weekly. So I guess I'll get a little bit. What's the best way to like figure out timing on these things?
Usually we do like a let us meet type thing, or whatever, calendar application that allows you to block off time. But I don't know, Barry, you and Isaac have used one. I don't know if it was let us meet or what, but it's pretty useful.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll put a let us meet together and post that, and yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Now let's jump on to this sprint. Let me check something 1 second. I'll put this on this screen, and I think this is the same task as talking utility sessions. Would it be the same? I had this task
Oh,
between
great.
me
Yeah.
and Nate.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll
just put
add
me
you
on there.
here,
Yeah.
and we
Great.
can coordinate something. I'll delete this one.
Yeah.
Then. Okay. Now for this sprint, I'm starting myself. Let me see. So the playbook is pretty much done. I'm just keeping it in progress because I would say it's at least for now or for now and because of the state of the playbook it's pretty much done. It's fairly low priority to complete these small details, but I have it in here just to keep it on the loop. Then there's the advisory group, in which Bear and Tam are helping me a lot. we reached out. Bear did a really nice document with sort of the structure and things like that. We reached out to a few folks. Already got Patty from the academy as an advisor, and Vasily from PowerPool. Some others are yet to confirm. We're going with that. The TQF ecosystem opportunities. I just added that with what you just said. I added both Sean and me in there just to track the opportunities that are hanging around for either funding or just to be able to, collaborate with those ecosystem actors and show them the power, say, of TQF. I want to do this. I've been thinking about this for a while, like revisiting and considering T. I'm calling it T Public Funding Working Group. This is something I've been. I also chatted with Gideon. I just have to sit down and consider how that would look like and if it makes sense now. But it may, because if things keep going as they're going, we are. I'm already seeing like a fairly differentiated group, and that is, at least for me, taking a bunch of time. So I have to make just to think through and make things clearer to see how do we manage that. Then there's the Gitcoin proposal. We chatted about that before, and the plan to reach out to the NTs. There was the plan for sponsors. That one is already completed. Now I have to make the plan for the NTs that I already started. I just have to finish it. And I guess I can so here. Um, I'll define the task better later. Oh shoot, it didn't choose the sprint. But it's about time for next round, so I have to start, knocking Gitcoin's door to see dates. I also have to sync with Griff on sponsors. Just start to get things ready for the coming round. And then there's the talking to the sessions that we chatted about 1 or 2 sprints ago. That's now between Nate, Sean, and myself. Pretty much this. I'm not sure I'll be able to complete everything, but yeah, these are the things I would like to work on. Now I'll pass it over to you, Bear.
Nice. Well, I just put out 2 tweets. I hope you guys can retweet it. Post them in the chat. Oh yeah, how much time is left on your on that Gitcoin round? YGG.
Oh, I'm not sure how much time. I think it's towards like the end of October. I think it's a pretty long round, but
Oh,
I'll look into it and post in the chat.
If you make any tweets promoting this, like DM them to me and I'll reformat and also post. I did a Giveth QF tweet, and maybe I can do a similar thing for Gitcoin Citizens tweet, basically.
Cool.
Because there's some other TEC. I think 0x is in there, and it'd be fun to put that up. Other than that, it's just Twitter. There's a bunch of things scheduled. We do have I'm just trying to get tweets up every day and then reach out to sponsors. That's pretty much all I have. I wouldn't say they're like really modeled into something that goes in Notion, but. And thank you all for the great memes. I gotta say, the meme channel is off the hook. I don't know if you've checked it out, but some real winners in there already hitting the Twitter.
thank you for bringing the.
I think we lost you, Isaac.
Um, you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know what's happening with Discord. It's just I may have to uninstall it and install it again. I don't know. What we were talking about. I'm now from my phone. I'm trying to get Discord up again. Okay, I'm now back up at my computer. Sorry about all this craziness. Um, I think we're about to start with you, Bear.
Yeah, definitely I can take it. Um, well, yeah, the ones that are in progress are things from last sprint. So again, the roles. I think probably you can delete that one that says follow up on TGR3 advisory group tasks, and maybe you can tag me in the one that you already have. Um, yeah, thank you. It's in the setup advisory group one. And then for things that I'm planning to start on this sprint, well, there are basically three tasks as part of the fiduciary stewardship project. Uh, that in this first kind of like phase, my plan is to do some research and some analysis on the resources that the TEC currently has, and the way they are managed. So those are the things that I'm proposing to do a quick SWOT, focus on the financial aspects of the TEC, um, do a quick high-level review of the governance models and what effect do they have on managing the resources that we have, and an actual analysis of the TEC resources like the common pool, the reserve pool, um, multi-sigs, and all that kind of stuff. So this is not gonna be like a deep dive analysis. The idea is just to have some sort of like summary or context as part of the project of 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 the resources. So yeah, that's kind of like the plan. You can read more about those tasks in Notion, their descriptions, um, and kind of like I forgot the word, but how success looks like. And yeah, that's kind of like on my plate. Besides this, yeah, I'm also planning to. Well, Tam already mentioned this. To kind of like organize these TEC and open sessions where we can tackle especially the OP migration, um, uh, different topics that are out there and that we need to discuss. So this is something that I'm just working on these days. So I'll probably be contacting and reaching out to everyone here and some other more people to invite them. And because I was also looking that, even from a couple of days ago, Nate, that you were also, and YGGU as well, this idea of the token utilization and the OP migration one. So it might be worth just to have some coordination between that so we don't duplicate stuff. I think the token utility session it's a great idea. So maybe we could have that as its own biweekly session, like you were suggesting, Sean. And then for the OP migration, I was thinking that we could all use that time that we already have allocated with the TCAN and just invite new folks to join that and have the conversation there, so we don't have to book for another time. Um, and yeah, that's kind of like the idea, the plans. Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions. I will. Sorry, I forgot one more thing. I was also mentioning this to Isaac and to Nate about having a retrospective about the token engineering grants round 2 that just finished, that we were just able to close it last week. So I think that before jumping into planning for the third one, it'd probably be really beneficial to have that retrospective. And the way I'm thinking about it is just having it as a regular sprint retrospective, but having it focused on the grants round. And I think a lot of interesting insights could come up from that. Um, we might need to coordinate on that, Isaac. I don't know if that's something that you'd like to take on, or do you want my help with? I don't think we should be that difficult to put together. But yeah, I think it would be definitely worth it. And yeah, with that, I think that's all for me. Pass it back to you.
Sorry, got lost in the last part. You were talking about the round retrospective, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to find the time for that retrospective. I think that'd be worth it.
Okay, I think I can have this as part of the planning for the round. Like, if I can get time and some other things, we can have the retrospective as a way to inform the following round. Sure. And I'll just tag you along uh, with. Okay. Okay. Cool. Then we have you here, Tam. I think most, if not all of these, are pretty much the same as the past round. But if you want to add anything.
Yeah, the only two that I added was the following up with just tracking Sem's proposal and Celeste, and then the advisory group for GR3. Those are the only two that I added to this sprint that weren't on the board last sprint.
Cool. Thanks. Then you, Nate?
Yeah, so the events planning doc is something that is almost finished. I wanted to get feedback on it for anybody who wants to go over the community events program framework that I put out, as well as the detailed documents that are linked within there. The community call planning for this sprint, of course, is going to be next week, as well as the token engineering as a public good interview, which will be on Sunday. The mapping out of the amount of hours for the events lead is an ongoing and in progress thing for this month. And yeah, I think that is it for the transferring over for this sprint. Of course, I'm not sure. Do we have? Is there a set date for the actual TEGR3?
There's not. That's part of what I want to find out this is sprint. And then just in general, be ready. Like, there's a few things we can have beforehand, like sponsors, like the branding, etc. Because Gitcoin has been a bit hasn't been the best when it comes to announce the dates in advance, with enough advance. So best to be as ready as we can.
Okay. Yeah, my only reason for that is just to prepare for setting up an event for projects that are successful applicants to our token engineering grant round, of course. to have them talk about their projects with the broader TE community. So, but I doubt that's going to happen within the next 2 weeks. Yeah, I think that sums up pretty much the sprint for me.
Yeah, rumors so far are mid-November. At least for now, I'm going with mid-November as the next round. One thing we could do um if we are interested is just to in the meantime have one or a few sporadic activities or calls with past grantees. Now that the results are live, maybe a nice way to just highlight them, whatever. Uh,
Yeah, and I will say that if you have ideas on different events that you'd like to see happen, please do add them to the community events program document. So yeah, thank you.
sorry, say the last part again. Someone asked me something here.
Oh, I said if you do have ideas on events that you want to see within the TEC, just add them to the community events program document.
Okay, cool, thanks. That's the one you send in the group chat the other day, right?
Yeah, and it should be linked in the setup events planning document card.
I'm looking for that card too. Where? Okay, I see it.
Oh yeah, it's here. I'll drop the link as well for the document here. And thanks, Sean, for let us know. Let me open it to fill it after the call. All right, and that's it. Gideon's not here. We have you, Sean, here as well. Pretty much the same as past sprint. I don't know if you want to add anything, Sean.
Just looking, yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, I was kind of speaking to this sprint when I went the first round just now. So yeah, I want to get the token utility biweekly scheduled. So I posted that. Let us meet, and then just continuing development with the tunable QF. I'm gonna reach out to Lauren to start that conversation as well.
Cool, sounds good. All right, looks like we have completed this sprint. We have marked 2 hours of this call. If anyone has to drop off, feel free to. But if people can speak a few minutes more, I think we can use the time to chat about a few things. I don't think we'll use the next hour completely, but uh, there's a few things. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, if we have more things to talk about, yes, I think we definitely should do that. But then the other idea that I had is that if we had the time and people were willing to do that, we could also probably use this second hour to do the actual retrospective of the grants round too, and just get that done now that we're all together and that we already have this time allocated. That way we don't need to schedule anything else. But it's just an idea, just putting it there on the table.
I think like just because we have other stuff to talk about, I think it's best if we did that today. Because for the retrospective, I would love to come a bit more prepared. Um, and have like a nice board set up and a few questions beforehand. And to be honest, even I don't think I just thought maybe great to have Gideon because he's been key to the rounds. I don't think we're going to have Gideon back in time for um have a retrospective that can inform the next round. But yeah, most likely we'll have the retrospective maybe next week or something like that. Um, we'll see. Um,
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, yeah, I would only like, or just to have it, yeah, this print, right? Because if you're saying that there's like an estimate date of mid-November, that's like already less than a month away, right? So if we want to use the retrospective to inform the new round, I think we should definitely take it as something urgent and do it as soon as possible. But yeah, definitely makes sense to be more prepared.
yeah. A few things I do want to chat about are savings die. Like I would love to have. I'm going to even add that to my. 'Cause that's a fairly quick proposal. Let me just put internal this die proposal. So I may take a few minutes to show savings die around. Then I also want to show Gap, a tool made by the Karma team. Karma, they, as far as I know, they build like reputation stuff, and they have now built a platform for grantees based on the Ethereum attestation service that I think is pretty cool and we may want to use for the next round. And finally, if there's time or depending on how the conversation goes, I would love to have some thoughts around um, instantiating this new working group because I feel a bit lost. I don't know where's the line to formally do that or how. Going with SDI first. Give me just 1 second. Let me change the screen. So pretty much just for all of us to be on the same page, what MakerDAO has something they call the savings rate. 1 second, I'm changing this. They have something they call the savings rate, which is a vault um, where they give DAI holders a 5% 5% API every year, just to hold DAI, and they do this with multiple revenue sources they have as a way to incentivize use of DAI and yada yada yada. And because the Gnosis chain uses DAI as the gas token, they thought they may be a great idea to deposit all DAI in the bridge in Ethereum, deposit all that in the savings DAI vault on MakerDAO, and then just have this token, the SDAI token, receive the yield. What's cool about that is because is that there's 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 around 50 million DAI gaining 5% API, and those 50 million are paying the return for just 47 million. So that makes the return on the Gnosis chain higher than the actual savings rate on Ethereum mainnet. That's pretty much how it works. SDAI on Gnosis chain is a wrapper of on chain is a wrapper of these complex move the chain made to give more API. Bottom line is we have I don't really know how much we have, but close to $500,000 in DAI, and right now there's not a reason to not use savings DAI. Yeah, we have 300,000 WXI that we can put to work in this. Um, I'll make the proposal. I don't think that's even a question. Whether it passes or not, that's another thing. But I think maybe a good use of the time to just get a sense of how everyone feels and how much we should or we would be willing to put into that for the proposal. Or if there's any question or whatever.
Yeah, so I mean, do you have a proposal for how much we should put in?
I think we should do everything, to be honest. Like, there's no liquidity issues and there's no reason to miss on the returns. So I I don't know why we wouldn't put everything into it. Or and now that we are moving on to optimism, it may be a good, while we are waiting, it's just another source of income.
And so then we would do any payouts in SDI, I guess, or
There's well, we could do a few things. Like we could just start using SDAI as the default currency. That's one option. The other option is to build EVM CRISPR script that everyone can use, so that when we post a proposal, the DAO automatically pays with wrapped XDAI instead of giving out savings DAI. That shouldn't be too hard.
I think it makes
It's
sense to
already
pay. I think it makes sense to pay people in SDI. I don't think it's like such a problem. The only problem is that it's like $1.03 or something, right? Or it'll be like $1.01.
yeah. Well, okay, that's another good point. That's the other thing. Um, SDAI works like a bot, so it's not like one SDAI is one wrapped XDAI. The price of SDAI is always going to go up based on the API. Right now, one SDAI is about 1.01 or 02 cents. Um, that'll probably just take a few seconds to calculate. I don't think that's a big issue. And we could, let me just, to put everything, we would be making with the current API, we, oops, I miscalculated something, 1 second. We would be making about $2,000 every month if we were to put everything.
I'm into it. I think it's a great idea. I think it'll be fine. So, and it's not everything. We still have the reserve, and we would leave that in wrapped XDAI for now, I assume.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not much, but the ABC still handles the wrapped XI, so anything coming from the ABC would come as wrapped XI instead of XI. Um, but okay, if there's not any other comments, I'll just hop on to the next topic.
I mean, I guess the only thing I would throw in is that with the proposal, it would be interesting to have the what could go wrong scenario, just to surface whatever risks there are.
That's fair. Um, um, really, the worst scenario is for the whole chain to just, die. Because like at least on the Gnosis side, the SDAI token is an ERC20 standard token, so it's not like there's not really that much of smart contract risk, but they made a few modifications to the bridge. So if something happens, would happen on the whole bridge, and there's at that point there's probably nothing we can do. And which, by the way, in any case, all those changes were also audited by Gnosis and some external parties. Okay, well, cool. It's fairly easy, so I can probably put something together fairly quick. Maybe even this week or the following one. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to touch on, like most of these topics are, I don't think we'll discuss a whole lot. I just, now that we are all here, I just really appreciate comments. This is GAP. I don't remember what GAP stands for, to be honest. It was like Grant Accountability Platform Protocol, something like that, I think. And yeah, like I said, Karma builds like for the most part reputation solutions. Gitcoin uses Karma, and I think ENS as well. Some else uses Karma, use Karma, and so now they build Gap. Gap is built on top of the Ethereum attestation service, and it's pretty much an interface for grantees. It's primarily for grantees to build on-chain reputation on their grants. So, if you gotta go give, feel free to. Thanks for joining, and I'll catch you later. Oh, give it to
Thank you, guys.
Karma.
And please retweet like crazy. Thank you. Bye.
But, and so yeah, it's pretty new. They have these divided by communities, and so if you go to the optimism community, you would see sort of the type of grants they have, and if you go to those grants, say Retro PGF2, you see this grant by Fractal Visions. And from Fractal Visions, the project, you see all the grants they were in and the milestones they completed and all that. And so they wanted to see if we were willing to use, or if we were interested in using this for our grants round. I thought it was pretty cool because it doesn't require almost anything from our side. Like most of this is the grantees having to just fill in the information and the milestones and all that. Because the benefit is for grantees to be able to show their reputation on chain of what are they building and the grants they have received. From our side, we would just have to, or have the power as administrators of a community, to sort of accept and deny grants, to just to make sure on the front page that we just show things that are actual things we funded. So that's that, and then they said like in terms of paying for the service or anything, we don't have to pay, but they would appreciate if we can cover the costs of gas for grantees and things like that. Right now, the whole platform is gasless, and if any chance we are interested in a feature, that we help to pay for the development of the feature. And that's all. I think Sean was in the meeting as well. If I missed anything, let me know, or if anyone else has any questions, let me know.
Yeah. So you go ahead, Bear.
Go ahead, Wade. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, so basically this is a platform for us to keep track of the grantees going through our rounds. And I also checked with Mahesh and asked if we could have custom milestones built in here, just kind of like check boxes that we can go through on the admin end. and he said that's doable. So yeah, I think this could be a very interesting touch point to expand on our relationships with the grantees.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. This is really, really cool. I do think that we should definitely use it. I guess my only question would be like, would there be like any reason why we shouldn't use it? Do you guys see any like fun of using this platform?
My thoughts on it are I think it's really cool. I would say that our current approach towards token engineering grant rounds may be not so much. I think it's just it requires a lot of overhead to keep track, even to follow with this app Karma. I see this as being extremely useful if we wanted to like do an incubator program. But I don't know. I feel like this might be like kind of not the right fit for just strictly our token engineering grant round, but for something where we're going to be more involved with what these projects are doing. If we decide to have an incubator program where we're kind of working with these projects on, you know, going over milestones and making sure that they have this continuous source of funding as they start to build out whatever they're building. It's a lot more useful in that scenario. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
I want to make sure I understand what it even is. Is this a way for grant providers to have a more complete picture of the projects that are applying for grants from them by seeing other grants that they've already received?
Yeah, pretty much.
And
And-
I think the base feature is that you have projects follow up. So it's like it's for post grants. So after projects receive grants, then they're expected to like post follow-ups, post updates, report on milestones, things like that in here, so that we can track what happens after the funding, basically.
And that's one of the bigger needs that we have, actually, or one of the bigger gaps that we've identified.
Yeah.
Does it feel like, just one quick question. Does it feel like we are big brothering the projects to see what other grants they've received?
See that again?
Is it so let's say that like Retro PGF, I don't know, there was a page that you showed where there's a bunch of different grants. Let's say like Bitcoin and Retro PGF, let's say a project applied for a TEC grant, and what would the process be? They would need to sign up for this service first, or after they receive the grant, they sign up for the service, and this is where they then give us milestones. Can somebody walk me through the process? Yeah. Of how the project would interface with this platform?
Let me see. You, I was going to say something on your first comment, but I actually forgot. Yeah, it was something like this is something we need or identified. I don't think so, because to be honest, at the size of our rounds, I actually don't think it makes sense to track any of the results in general. We are, it's just, it would cost us too much to track for grants that most of them have, received just a few $100. The best thing we do is just not admit them, or on the following round. That's one. But I think this one is cool because it shifts the whole thing, so it's not necessarily on us to make sure they post updates. And then about process and all that, I don't think it's even possible to restrict. Well, we could do, but I don't think we should restrict grants if they do not use this. Maybe we can. I don't know. We have to think more about that. Um, and from what he said yesterday, pretty much projects after filling out the grant or receiving the grant, they just come here, complete the information about the grant, and then whatever they promised in the grant, they just put the milestones every time they completed one. That's pretty much the thing. Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
I was just gonna say I like what Nate said. I see this as like a growth step. So if we want to work towards this vision of the TEC incubation program, and how does quadratic funding fit into the greater picture of funding TE public goods, I think we can use this as a framework to design that around. So if we have an idea of the incubation process, then we could build that out as milestones into this app. So yeah, it's I see it as a growth. Like we would be kind of stepping up into this, and we can design that around our incubation thesis, kind of.
Yeah, and on a few comments, but say for example, what Bert asked about why we wouldn't use it. Uh, I don't like the idea of adding any more work. To be honest, primarily because like yes, we should add work, but we do so um, in every round. And so for this one, we are already adding quite a bit of work with the sponsors and some other stuff. So I think at the very least, we either are very honest with them and say, hey, we can open the community where we can promise to sort of be on top of it on this round, or just leave it for the next one and see if we want to do it. On the other hand, like I'm kind of excited about this because at least by what he said, I still have to play with this a bit more. But by what he said, is very low effort from our side. It's more of just like the grantees are the ones winning from this. So it's more of like tapping into the intrinsic motivation of them having this fill out and then just a few reminders and things like that. On the other hand, it's not like we would be adding a bunch of overhead just by doing this. Any other comments, questions? I like we met yesterday. I want to play with this a bit more and just think more about this. But thought was a good opportunity to just share it. Five. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
so I guess the main function that this would be serving is to whether projects would qualify for future rounds or not. And so this kind of falls underneath the whole you know, I guess grant qualification criteria that we have. And so I guess I just don't see the use case for us right now. If we had some type of, because we make those calls based off of judgment anyway, based off of whether they actually delivered anything um, um, within the next round. We've had a couple of projects that have applied to the grant round 2 that applied to grant round 1 was qualified that didn't qualify for the second round because of this factor. And so I just don't know adding more requirements for projects at the moment will actually change anything or provide any more insight into that. Uh, I think that once we have more complex projects or projects that are looking to get either continuous funding or a larger sum of funds, then I think that would be a really good tool. But for us being such a small pool, I don't know if the cost is worth the benefit, if that makes sense.
I agree. I agree for the most part. I guess the only thing I'd say is about like it also helps projects build their reputation. So even if it's not a direct benefit for us, it's a benefit for them to be able to seek fundings elsewhere. Um, so in the best interest of projects, we may want to consider using it. But I agree. I don't have the sense it's like it should be a priority or it makes sense for us. Okay, if there's nothing else, I guess the last thing we can spend like 5 minutes talking about is whether we should want or how, um, to instantiate the new working group. Because it's there's people interested in contributing, like Octopus himself, but also Block Boy and Jade were interested in contributing to some capacity, and then it's also becoming more and more work. So at some point, I think at some point we want to make that a formal working group. I'm just not sure where's that point. Um, for me personally, it's taking more time every day to and more effort to balance, like say my responsibilities at the coordination team, but also the QF rounds, um, the research and the price and all that. So yeah, I'm just not really sure.
Can I ask what constitutes a working group in our current definitions of the organizational structure? Maybe Bear has covered it before, but I haven't.
That's also a good question. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I think it's an open question right now with no clear answer, right? Because we actually don't have any other working group besides the coordination team at the moment, right? I don't know if the TEC could be considered as a working group. Probably no. It's more of like an advisory group because it doesn't. I would say that maybe one of the factors that would determine a working group is a budget, right? Some funds, maybe its own way of working, like its own notion or its own base, um, its own roles, probably defining the different roles and different areas that they operate within. I don't know. I think this would be an answer that we would have to kind of like collectively try to define and to get consensus on, because I've been also thinking a lot about this, and since Gideon was here, there was this idea, right, that I think you're mentioning of the grants program becoming its own working group eventually, right? I think it makes a lot of sense. I think sooner or later that will happen. Just like there might be other working groups that start popping up. So yeah, I think it's a good probably time to start thinking on how does that look like, and how do we prevent the same. Uh, how do we prevent from the same mistakes happening again, like from the previous structure where we had a lot of working groups working on its own, right? Um, Especially in terms of coordination, I guess, and pursuing the same objectives for the TEC as a commons. and not for the working group per se, right? But I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts right now.
Yeah, I put forward an idea which is like, what do we really effectively need in the short term? And I think there's a pretty simple need, which is kind of like I think Isaac's operating two roles basically. And so he can do that, but it's a lot for one person, and he's starting to feel, he's reached his capacity, and he's starting to probably feel a little like he's got too much on his plate. He has a lot of responsibilities directly with the coordination team, facilitating meetings like this. And then he's also basically leading the QF round administration. And so those are kind of two roles that he's taken on. So I think what we might need rather than a new working group, I mean, I like that discussion and I like the direction of there being a QF rounds or TE grants rounds working group. But in the short term, in the very practical sense, we might just need one more role. And I wonder if there could be a budget from the coordination team or something similar where we could just get one role. And maybe we could be quite capital efficient too if, almost like an intern. Maybe Isaac needs an intern kind of thing. Different people, depending on their life circumstances, have different like needs. Some people are very happy working on a pretty low budget and they can work very effectively. So there might be some way that we could bring one additional person like into the coordination team to focus on maybe one of those two roles. I'm not sure which one it would be. If someone could pick up, say someone could lead the sprint planning for TEC and Isaac could step away from that and focus more on QF, or vice versa if someone could come in and really be the lead on QF administration, and then Isaac could focus more on coordination team tasks. So I'm just wondering if like there is a way to, in a very simple way, to like address the needs that we're facing.
Yeah, I would say that big part of the conversation is like we still are on a shoestring budget. Like until we get token utility figured out and we start bringing in, funds into the common pool at a higher frequency or higher rate, it's really hard to justify any type of additional expenditures. And instead of adding people or increasing the budget, it's just we have to slow the pace is the other option that we have in terms of not doing so much so quickly. And so just throwing that out there as well, because we still have a lot of things to figure out. This is going to be to sustain the common pool that we currently have, and over the migration and all of the things that we have planned. I think we have to really pace ourselves, and it's something that we just got to keep on the forefront of our minds, in my opinion.
That's fair. And I actually I was more focused on the working group stuff than say human resources, but I think that's a very good point, Sean. Because to be quite frank, I don't think I've done now that my responsibilities are just increasing. I don't think I've done my best on neither. Like, to be honest, I've done a bit on some stuff. I should be not too bad, but I'm aware. Um, and that's also part of why I'm really that focused on getting proposals out for the QF project. Because if at least one of those proposal passes, then that validates the our thinking and may help us sort of get a bit of those budgeting issue. And then at that point, it would make more sense, or just to see how we fit everything in. Um, Another thing, I guess, it's also concerning some of restructuration. Like if if like we have to choose if we want to do more stuff, we pay more, and if we are not willing to pay more, we then have to do less stuff. So maybe we just, I don't know, conversation to see like how do we actually balance all the demand that there is in the TS space with the budget we have available. I of course don't have, but I think those are the options, more or less.
I also think it's really important what Sean was saying of properly identifying the needs and why we are doing what we're doing. So, for example, I think we would need to identify if this is more of like of a personal situation with you, Isaac, of you being kind of like over your capacity and needing to figure out a way to balance that out and to for you to feel more balanced and to be able to fulfill your roles the best way possible, or if this is more of like actual needs that people are identifying that say that we actually need to form a different working group, right? I think those would be like two different things that it would be important to define, because there was also like this idea that I remember Gideon mentioned, that it was maybe we can create another working group, but there's like a big chance that it's gonna have the same people, right? The same names. So if that was the case, maybe I agree with Sean. There's a different way of taking care of this, but I don't know. I guess it's also kind of like a question for you, Isaac, and for you, Sean. I guess if you guys see like the need for actually creating working group, or maybe it is more of a personal situation.
I think it's a bit of both. Like on one hand, whether we form a new working group or not, I'm definitely reaching my capacity. But then for the working group, maybe it's something we should take like very slowly, but but of course have it in mind. But at least for me, it's very clear that we sort of already have an informal working group. Like say you have Octopus, which is now more of an advisory capacity, let's say. Then myself, which for the past few months I've been more on the QF side than on coordination duties, more print coordination. And then, for example, who also hangs around the coordination team, but all of his work is around QF. And it's definitely slowly for. It doesn't need to happen now. I think the conversation goes both ways. Because then at the same time, if we separate my roles and add another person, then the differences between the groups become even higher, because then I wouldn't be overlapping. I would be either on the coordination side or full on the QF, for example. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like you say, I think it's probably a longer conversation, and just to find the balance also with what Nate was saying, like based on our current capacity and the needs of the TEC, the goals of the TEC, and the resources of the TEC, right? That's why also I think this fiduciary work it's really, really important, because I think it might help us to better define what we can do and what we can't do. I think just considering, for example, the rounds, the grand rounds, it's already, I think, quite of a substantial amount of money that it's going invested there. Like 100K a year. It's quite a lot, right? So thinking about how are we going to prioritize things, I think it's important, and it's also part of this conversation.
Yeah, I guess what's more important is that the company started. We'll have to see how it progresses. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
I just
really know what are next steps. Go ahead, sure.
yeah, just one more thing to say is that maybe we're almost there. Like maybe some small, subtle changes and continued refinements can get us to a really good balance. Like, it's not like Isaac's completely dying. He's just a little, he's reached his capacity and maybe a little bit over. And so maybe with some small adjustments, like, the other three of us on this call, just like slightly leaning in a bit more, and yeah, just as we continue to refine process, like you said, Bear, the fiduciary planning, like, and then I know, Isaac, you're completing the grant rounds playbook. Like, I think that's really epic. That could help people support you because we can all see the process and have a shared understanding. So yeah, maybe like just some small, subtle improvements, and we can reach a really good balance from where we're at now. Like, this is something I've been reflecting on in my life, is just like no huge steps, because I'm in a good place in my life. Like, I'm in a stable, like, I really like my home, my living situation, and so I just have this like policy with myself where it's like no huge steps, only small steps, small adjustments, small improvements. And so maybe that works for us too, that we're like, we've almost got the right balance, not quite yet, but just continue to like refine the process and communicate. And yeah, just wanted to put that concept out there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really important and a really, really good approach that I think I share. So I would say that, Isaac, if there's like anything in particular that you might require supporting or help, also feel free to let us know, and we can all figure out a solution for that. Like Sean is saying, like even if it's like a small thing, I'm pretty sure we can come up with solutions together.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I'll have to sit down as well and just have more clarity about everything I'm doing, and then see how to figure everything. Um, um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. I think uh, it's also a conversation we'll have to have with Gideon as well, just in general, because these are like very high level general questions, and strategy questions and all that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Appreciate the comments. I don't have anything else to say. If anyone, does anyone wants to share something as well?
Maybe just the last thing. I think that also another thing that probably is going to help you out is this work of better defining the grants lead role. The ones that I've been working on. I think if we can work together on better defining that, I think that definitely it's going to help you have more clarity on the work you're doing and how much time is taking you, and how to actually value that, and then compare it with the other role you have here in the coordination team with project managing everything. And then that might be kind of like a first step, right, for you to have better idea and more clarity in general. I think that can help, so we can work together on that.
Yeah, if you can send me the links or just DM me, I'll just DM you so that I don't forget, and we can about roles and stuff later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. Well, thanks guys again for the time, and I'll catch you all later.
Oh, Inti,
Uh-huh.
did you ever get a chance to talk to Ephraim? I was hoping to get the graphics today.
I did him your email. He didn't give you access. Okay.
Yeah, not yet. No.
Okay, one second.
Thank you.
I'll actually ask him to give both of us sort of complete control to give access to other people as well.
That'd be great. I appreciate that.
Okay, he already replied. He's about to do it, so in any minute
Okay.
he should.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll see you guys later. Thank.
Sorry, Isaac. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
just one more last thing. Now that you all guys are here, especially you and Nate, just to kind of like tell you about the TEC open sessions. I'm still working on them. I was planning on sending something more formal, like a schedule and the topics to talk about. But the idea would be to have these next 3 Fridays, the 3 coming Fridays, to have a TEC open session where we can discuss like the OP migration and different topics related to that. And of course, all the coordination team is invited. So I just wanted to put that on your radar. And I can send you the time and everything if you don't know it. But yeah, hopefully you guys can make it and join that conversation. Would be these next 3 Fridays, the following 3 Fridays.
Sure. Yeah, please send the information over. I'll have a check.
Sounds good. Yeah, and that'll be everything for me. Thank you guys. Thank you, Isaac.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Isaac. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
See you soon. Bye.